Good morning, gorgeous ones. Here I am in my car, actually at work early, which is like a miracle for me because you know that punctuality is not one of my strengths. But I think I might try and make it a bit more of a strength. It's one of those things that it just isn't on my radar. So therefore, as we talked about recently, I'm not particularly intentional. I kind of have a vague idea what time I need to leave the house, and I vaguely get in the car at that vague time, and I vaguely arrive at work vaguely on time. This morning, I'm talking about hemoglobin A1C. And part of the reason I'm talking about that is it is National Diabetes Week in Australia, and this is the test that we use to determine if you have developed diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and you also measure blood glucose control. So I thought I'd just explain how it works. So you've heard us talk college, a whole lot of things. And in our blood, so our blood cell, glucose will, and a small amount of this is normal. It is normal to have approximately 5% of your hemoglobin connected to glucose. It's called glycosylation. So that's the hemoglobin, which is the HB, short is hemoglobin A1C. How much glucose, and it's in percentage, how much glucose is on your hemoglobin? Now, we know that hemoglobin, or red cells, are recycled every 120 days. So therefore, this is a very good measure of our blood glucose control over the previous 120 days. So if you've got lots of glucose in your blood, but we check your blood at a particular time, remembering, and the way I like to describe it is that when we check your blood glucose level, that's like taking the temperature of the day. But when we measure your hemoglobin A1C, that's like assessing the climate or the season. So they're quite different. So you could have a single blood glucose thing that might be 7, and someone might say, oh, have you got diabetes? We don't know. But if you consistently have higher levels, then your hemoglobin A1C will be higher. So the cutoff for type 2 diabetes is 6.5. So 6.5 and above means you have type 2 diabetes. Between 5.5 and 6.5, you have insulin resistance or pre-diabetes. Some people would actually be a bit stricter and say probably even 5.2. We kind of know that normal is about 4.8 to 5.2. So anyway, I guess what I wanted to do is just explain a bit of the science and behind the testing. So hemoglobin A1C or HBA1C, that's the test that actually determines your blood glucose control over the previous 120 days. And when you cross a number, then you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, remembering that actually it's just an arbitrary number. That really, if your hemoglobin A1C is 6.3, people go, you're nearly at diabetes. You're there, you just haven't quite crossed that threshold. For type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, we use HbA1c as a measure of blood glucose control to determine whether what we're doing is adequate. Is the diet adequate? Is the medication, if you're on medication, adequate? If you have type 1, what's your overall blood glucose control? So there we go. All right, lovelies, I had better pop on in. You're welcome, Anjo. I'm glad you like it. I pop on into work. I've got to write some notes. My computer crashed Monday night when I was finishing off my notes. And so I have to run in and do them, which is part of the reason I'm early. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, darlings, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.